At the far end of the universe, there is a planet ruled by a being of utter evil. And there is only one man who dares challenge him. They are locked in a battle to the death. A battle that will take them across the heavens.
Stop him!
A battle that will finally be fought.
I want them hunted down and brought to me!
Across the face
Police! Nobody move!
of Earth.
I think I'm gonna need some backup.
Can you show us the way?
Of course. No.
Somebody help me!
From a distant galaxy, they have come to Earth. Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. Frank Langella as Skeletor. Only they have the powers to be masters of the universe. Live the adventure.
Welcome to a new episode of Rewind and Rewatch, or R&R. Today I'm drinking a Tangerine Cream Station 26 beer in my Wookiee koozie. So this is the second Dolph Lundgren vehicle in a row. Today we're talking about the 1987 film Masters of the Universe. It was a film by Gary Goddard, who produced several shows on and off Broadway, including a 2009 revival of Hair, also Jekyll and Hyde, Jesus Christ Superstar, The Wiz, and then he also went on to do such things as some dark rides like Monster Plantation, Jurassic Park the Ride, the 3D film Terminator 2 3D, Battle Across Time, Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, and Depot's Undersea 3D Wonder Show, along with sexual assault allegations. But you guys can look that up because we're not going to get into that.
I could write a book about what you don't know!
The film itself is a science fantasy action film. Also produced by Yoram Globus and Minahem Golan, Golan, and it was written by David Odell. The film stars Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella as Skeletor, John Cypher, Chelsea Field, Billy Barty, Courtney Cox, Robert Duncan McNeil, and Meg Foster. It's based off of the toy line, just like the cartoon was based off the toy line. Now, let me just say something. Besides the fact that when it was released, it was a flop, critically, commercially. It came in under what the budget was. I think it made $17 million off of a $22 million budget. If it were like a standalone film, it might be okay. But it's not. The fact that it starts with these characters already existing, I mean, you know that they've been around. They know that He-Man has battled Skeletor in the past, and Skeletor's been trying to, get Castle Grayskull. That's been like his life's goal. So it can't stand alone. It's more or less like a film adjacent to the cartoons. On Eternia, the center of the universe, by the way, Skeletor's army seizes Castle Grayskull, scatters the remaining Eternian defenders, and captures the sorceress of Grayskull, planning to add her power to his own by the next moonrise. He-Man, also along with Man-at-Arms and Teela, They rescue somebody named Gwildor from Skeletor's forces. Now, Gwildor is a Thenorian locksmith and a character basically created just for the film. Why they did that, I'm not sure. It's another one of those things where it's like, why did they create some characters for the film and just not use other characters from the toy line or the comic book? There was no point in having to create brand new characters when they left so many characters out.
But why can't I join your gang?
Cause you were a whip scientist and you could be a whip villain.
Gwildor reveals that Skeletor has acquired one of Gwildor's inventions called the Cosmic Key that can order portals to anywhere utilizing musical notes. It was stolen by Skeletor's second-in-command, Evil Lyn, allowing Skeletor to breach Castle Grayskull. Now, the thing is Gwildor's got a prototype of this as well. And so what they try to do is they try to rescue the sorceress, but they're overwhelmed, some shit goes wrong, and they end up on Earth. Okay. So now you've got He-Man and Teela and Man-at-Arms and Gwildor on Earth, and the key gets lost, and it ends up in the hands of a couple of teenagers. Their names are Julie and Kevin. And Kevin happens to be a keyboardist.
Okay. I want to see what this thing can really do. Test. Hello, test. Here, hold that.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna amp this baby up, see how it sounds. All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. Hold on. All right, here goes.
Quiet or I'll turn you into a suitcase.
Fancy that. So anyway, basically what happens is they got to try to get back, and Skeletor is now sending his henchmen to Earth to try to destroy He-Man and all of them, and that doesn't work. They come back, and then he has to send Evil Lyn to do their job, and eventually Skeletor makes it to Earth, and I'm not going to get into a whole lot of spoilers. But look, when I saw it, the last time I saw this movie, I was probably in high school. And so you're talking 30, let's just say 30 years ago. And I always thought, and I've only had seen it like twice. Of course, I went and saw it when it came out at the theaters, and then I saw it again, like I said, in high school. And I was always comparing it to the cartoon. And it wasn't the cartoon. It was so much worse than the cartoon. Where are all the characters, from the cartoon? Why are they so short in supply? I didn't think much of the special effects then. And when I say I didn't think much of the special effects then, I mean like I really didn't critically think about them like I am as an adult, which is hence why we do this program. What I will say is that the special effects are effects you've seen before. They kind of remind you of something Steven Spielberg-ish as far as effects, as far as portals go, for example. Think Poltergeist, like the closets and shit like that. Only cheaper. And then, of course, so it seems like the special effects kind of borrow from from Poltergeist. Let's just say Poltergeist. And then you've got how certain scenes are filmed and how they created this army of characters is almost like Star Wars, and Skeletor is kind of like a Darth Vader.
Why do I surround myself with fools? Even the robots are smarter than you.
So when I found out a little bit more about the film, and knowing that they're on a tight budget, I found out things like the film company, about halfway through filming, film company and Mattel even, they were in some trouble. The production company, Golden Globus, if I'm saying that right, they were pumping out like a shit ton of films, right? Like especially in the 80s, compared to like big major studios, and they were starting to go bankrupt. In fact, Masters of the Universe was like one of their last films. And then Mattel, the sales of He-Man toys started to plummet. It was up to that point, Mattel had their hands big time in the film. In fact, they didn't even want He-Man to kill anybody. And the people making the film were like, he's got to kill somebody. It's an action movie. It's a live action movie. You can't have your action hero going through the movie just kind of hurting people but not killing them, you know? So that's why they created the soldiers for Skeletor. So that He-Man could basically kill people, but it was people that, like, you don't give a shit about. It wasn't any major characters. And then halfway through, when Mattel saw that there was trouble, they went back and said, look, you do what you guys got to do. We all got to make money. Because Mattel was putting in X amount of dollars. Mattel was putting in X amount of dollars towards the film. And that's why they had X amount of control over it too. So when they said, look, like, shit sucks, you want him to fucking go berserk and kill a shit ton of people? Like, do it. Blood, guts, gore, swearing, we don't give a shit. Make this thing a hit so that, you know, the toys will start selling again. Well, it's kind of too late for that. And then at some point, towards the end of the production of the film, it got shut down because everybody ran out of money. And Mattel couldn't front any more money. I think they said that they were done filming it right around the point where, at the end, He-Man and Skeletor are about to do battle, and Skeletor says, you know, let this be our final battle.
No longer stand between me and my destiny.
But I will. I told you it was always between us.
Oh, I ache to smash you out of existence. To drive your cursed face from my memory forever.
Enough talk!
Yes! Let this be our final battle!
And then that was it. There was no ending shot originally. They thought that the film was going to get canned, that it was never going to see the light of day. So they had these issues. They had these issues all along. You know, with Mattel saying the film's got to go one way, and then halfway through they're like, nope, make it go the other way, but it was already too late for that. And people were on tight budgets. There wasn't enough money to go around. The film company and Mattel were both, you know, sinking ships at that time. Well, Mattel really not much of a sinking ship. They just were losing money on He-Man. It just wasn't popular. So, you know, the film had its problems. And the director kept fighting for it. Pretty much everybody kept fighting for it. They were trying to figure out a way that they could shoot it, the ending of the film, with as minimal people and minimal sets and minimal special effects as possible. So it was like a few months later, and it wasn't even the original ending. They decided to shoot the ending that we ended up seeing on film. They used the same set, but with like a shit ton less lights, a shit ton less people. Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella had no problem coming back and filming it. And they cranked out the battle sequence and the Skeletor death very quickly. I think like in a matter of a day or two or something. Like they didn't have that much time to shoot because there was no money to really even shoot it. So the ending that you see actually, and then there's like a hard cut to them celebrating in the castle, right? All that shit was done months later. Like everybody had been home for months, and they decided everybody was gonna come back, and it was quick and barely rehearsed. And I got to give them credit where credit's due. They went out to make one film that Mattel then said, no, it can't be that way. It's got to be this way. So they followed Mattel's rules. And then Mattel ends up changing the rules halfway through, but it was too late and everybody's running out of money. And they did the best that they could. I'm gonna give them that. They get, for what it's worth, if it was a standalone film where maybe at the beginning you kind of got a little history of what was going on and then it picks up where it's supposed to go, it's not a bad movie. There's a lot worse out there. But as it stands, as a Masters of the Universe film, knowing that the cartoon had existed, it was not good, it's still overall not the worst film I've seen. Now, here's some of the highlights as to why I say that it's not that bad. First of all, Dolph Lundgren has been worse. He was worse in The Punisher, and The Punisher came later. Interestingly enough, Dolph Lundgren filmed his scenes, and I don't know how many he got through. I don't know how much was shot. But they were taking a look at some of the shit that he filmed, and they were like, wait a minute. Like, this dude can't, act. Like, he can't talk. We need somebody to dub his voice. We need a different voice. We can't work with this. Like, they even thought he was bad. But I guess in his contract allowed him to reshoot up to 3 times. And they did that. They had to reshoot his scenes. Actually, they did use all 3 times for filming his shit until it was just good enough. Okay. I mean, we'll work with it. It's better than it was the first time around, so...
I have you now, you muscle-bound oaf!
This was his first starring role after Rocky IV. So... the fact that he really doesn't get any better even a few years later by the time The Punisher came out, it just goes to show that he's never been that good of an actor. I was going to try to get to some shining moments, some shining parts. Meg Foster is Evil Lynn. She's good. She's a good Evil Lynn. Comes off as a total bitch. And any kind of character where you can call the female antagonist a bitch, it works. Billy Barty as Gwildor. Pretty sure he won a raspberry for the worst actor in a film that year or something. Just way over the top, and it wasn't he's trying to be comic relief, and he just comes off as dumb, but he's smart at the same time, and it's just poor Billy Barty. I've never liked Courtney Cox, so, you know, eh. But then you got James Tolkien. If you're familiar with James Tolkien, he is Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future. And he's basically Mr. Strickland in this film, as he is still trying to come down on slacker teenagers, but only as a cop and not as a principal. In fact, his Detective Lubick is his name. And he kind of goes back and forth. Like, he's like a bad guy, and then he's like a good guy, and he's a bad guy, then he's like somewhere in between. Nope, I'm a bad guy. So, like, sometimes it seems like he's not going to help the teenagers, and by default, He-Man and Gwildor. And then sometimes he does, and then he doesn't, and then he's like back and forth. In fact, towards the end, right before what ends up leading into the battle sequence, he tries to prevent everybody from going back to Eternia. He-Man's already back there. Skeletor came, took him back.
Witness this moment, He-Man. This moment when the powers of Grayskull will become mine for eternity. Our lifelong battle is ending at last in the only way it could.
Holosphere standing by.
When the great eye opens, the people of Eternia shall see you kneeling to me just before you die.
I'll never kneel to you!
Yes, you will! Yes, you will! Or I shall wreak unforgettable harm upon you.
But the rest of the gang, they start going back by using a keyboard because the key itself is broken. So that Charlie dude's got to play this keyboard and get them back. It opens up the portal. He just happens to, he heard the tune once or something in his head, and because he's a keyboardist, like, oh, I can hear something once and I pretty much remember it. Sure. Okay. It's convenient, but, you know, sure, it happens. I'm getting carried away. So Detective Lubick, if you like the Strickland character, you're going to like Detective Lubick. I mean, he's basically playing Strickland again, but in Masters of the Universe. He does provide some comic relief in his own kind of like dry asshole type of way.
Police! Nobody move! I think I'm gonna need some backup.
Just like he did in Back to the Future. But the winner here, and this is akin to Dennis Hopper in Super Mario Brothers. Frank Langella is Skeletor. He makes the movie. I mean, Frank Langella is freaking fantastic to begin with. Just a phenomenal actor. And I can't see now anybody else playing Skeletor. And as it turns out, he took the role because his son was a fan of He-Man. And so he took the role for his son, much like Dennis Hopper took the role of King Koopa for his kid. But unlike Dennis Hopper, who, like that film, a lot of the actors didn't have much say in anything in Super Mario Brothers, Frank Langella, how you see Skeletor on film is all Frank Langella. How he decided Skeletor should walk, how he decided Skeletor should talk, how he decided certain robes needed to be tailored. If like a robe wasn't flowing correctly, Frank Langella said, you know, you got to work on it. You got to get this robe to do it this way, and they would like work on it until the robe flowed exactly how Frank Langella wanted it to flow. He had some say in the makeup. He really took on Skeletor. I mean, he really took, and it shows. The character of Skeletor, you could take Frank Langella's Skeletor, and you could have made a Skeletor movie, and I think it would have been a much better movie.
Dolts, half-wits, bunglers, brainless idiots. You couldn't even beat a motley group of gnomes.
It just focused on him. Just fantastic. The makeup was fantastic. The way he delivered his lines, fantastic. It's just a shame that the rest of the movie is not that good. But yeah, and then you had music. You actually had like actual soundtrack to the film, which is kind of surprising that they were able to get some licensed music in there. But the original music, it's not that bad either. It was done by Bill Conti, and he was known to do 007's For Your Eyes Only, Rocky, The Right Stuff, Karate Kid Part 2, Two Knives. So he did he worked on some music for, you know, some pretty decent productions. The set pieces that they used were good. You know, the only complaints really are the majority of the acting, the special effects, the story, the fact that they had to create characters instead of using already, you know, characters that already existed. But you know what? Rewatching it as an adult, it's not that bad. There are worse films. Super Mario Brothers is a worse film, in my opinion. Punisher is by far like so much worse. Masters Universe is not that bad, and it's not that hard to get through. Like, I was surprised like how quickly it seemed like it was over. Its runtime is 106 minutes. Oh, and Canon Films distributed the film. So I don't know if Canon Films or Golden Globus, the production company, I'm not sure which one, now that I think about it, was the one that was in trouble. They were pumping out so many, you know, X amount of films. They were kind of like the Blumhouse of the 80s, trying to pump out, you know, a lot of films on a low budget for maximum profit. And the ship started to sink right around the time Masters Universe was being filmed. So anyway, you know, there's a post-credit scene that leads you to believe that there was going to be a sequel, which obviously never happened.
Skeletor to King Randor! Skeletor to King Randor! Come in, you royal boob!
I know they're working on either rebooting the series as a live action series or doing an actual live action film again. And as we know, when they try to do films based on comic books and video games and stuff nowadays, things tend to be a little bit better than they used to be. So, Masters of the Universe, not really a comic book. They had a comic book run. Not really a video game. Just, you know, toys. The toys, not so much though. I mean, Battleship was a toy. Battleship was a game. That movie sucked. That was a while ago already though. I'm getting out of hand here. Would I recommend seeing Masters of the Universe? I mean, if you haven't seen it, give it a shot. You might like it. It might be like one of those guilty pleasures. I would rather rewatch Masters of the Universe again, like over Super Mario Brothers, actually. I'm surprised that this Masters of the Universe film doesn't have some kind of cult following like Super Mario does. It actually is kind of surprising, but it's not that bad of a film. I think I like it better as an adult who also took a film class and can break things down in film a lot better than I could as a child or a teenager who was just in it for shits and giggles entertainment. Shits and giggles entertainment. But like I said, I give them the benefit of the doubt. They tried the best with what they could. It wasn't that, much of a bastard of a production like Super Mario Brothers was. Everybody that was filming it was on board for it. They were behind it 100%. They thought what they were putting out was the best that they could put out with what Mattel, let them on that short leash with initially. So, anyway, Masters Universe, 1987, Dolph Lundgren. I recommend at least a watch. If you've seen it already, but it's been a while, rewatch it. Why not? It's not going to kill you. It really isn't. So that's going to be it for today. As of this recording, I have no idea what the next film is going to be. It's going to be sometime in December. I don't have anything in the pipeline, but there will be another episode next month. So if you can, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Share with your friends. And let me know what your thoughts are on Masters of the Universe. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you going to rewatch it? Or if you haven't seen it, are you now going to watch it based upon my recommendation of go ahead and give it a shot? That's going to be it for this episode of Rewind and Rewatch R&R. See you guys next time.